Hey Timoteo, we here on scene with my man Bryant and my man Leo right here. I'm Buddy, and we're here in front of one of the biggest streets and busiest streets in Philadelphia, Broad Street, and we're going to be breaking down Week 8's Timoteo Life video. This is our eighth edition. Hopefully you guys been watching. And this week's verse is 1 Samuel chapter 8, verse 20, and it says. We wanted to be like everyone else. And basically what they're talking about now is it's talking about how the Israelites are growing as a nation. And at this point, Samuel was the guy in charge. He was the elder. He was kind of the middleman between God and the people. At this point, Samuel's getting older. And the Israelites, they kind of wanted to be like everyone else. They wanted to incorporate a king as their form of leadership. And so Samuel, he incorporated his two sons, and it kind of didn't work for the people. They still wanted a king. They wanted to be just like everybody else. So Samuel went to God, and he talked to God, and he says, "Hey God, this is the leadership that they want. They want a king." And God sends a warning to the people, with Samuel, and telling them, the disadvantages of having a king like everyone else. He's talking about from the slavery of the people to being taxed 10% of their stuff, and just being kind of servants, and people will be dying for the king. You know what I mean? And the people, they still didn't take that warning, and at this point, they've already seen so many of God's miracles. They got their freedom from Egypt. They seen the Red Sea be parted. They seen the plagues. I mean, they seen everything. God has fulfilled everything that he told them, and yet they still want to follow and be like everyone else. And this is I guess this is where the Israelites kind of break their contract with God. Remember the verse we had, I will be your God, and part of that is the Israelites letting God be their God. And at this point, they're reneging on their contract. They still want a king, and at this point, God's like, well, if that's what you want, that's what you're gonna get, but it's gonna come with its penalties.
How does this relate to the field on being different from everyone else? And it's like, when I see a leader, I'm looking forward for my leader to be different, to influence, to take his team on his shoulder and carry them to success. There's many leaders in sports, as like Tom Brady, Peyton Manning, that as leaders, they have influenced their team, and as they influenced their team believed in them, and they went together as one, and they were able to become successful because they had a leader. Having a leader is very important. As a coach, when I look for a leader, the qualities I look is a leader that inspires someone, encourages someone, and a leader that is smart. And it's like, for example, when you're losing at halftime, your leader will sit there and encourage you and give you inspiration and find a way to bring your team back into the game and come out and play positive. A leader is always positive, trying to find a way to come out on top, whether it's on the football field or it's off the football field. A leader always knows what to do. A leader is not just based on talent, on being the best skillfully at catching the ball or throwing the ball. Like most kids, when they be like, oh, I want to be like Chad Johnson, or I want to be like Randy Moss or Calvin Johnson, they always think about the best athletes that skillfully are the best. They never say like, oh, I want to be a leader. I want to be different. And the leader is always someone who's different, who stands out, and it's not always just based on your talent. It's an overall. You can have talent, you can be smart, you can inspire other people around you, as I said earlier. And then a leader is just like very important to your team, because without a leader, your team would not stand. This story does not only apply to the football field, but it also applies to your life.
So how does this relate to our lives? How does this relate to your life? How does this relate to my life? I mean, in today's society, we see a lot of people following each other. I mean, it's all over the place. So I know as a child, I wanted to be like everyone else. I mean, hip-hop and rap and things in that culture kind of influenced me to take some of the wrong paths, and God gripped me at a very young age and showed me some of the right and wrong things to do. I mean, not the wrong things, but showed me the right path to be on. And that influenced me kind of to go to college and to get my degree and be the first in my family to actually graduate, which was a major accomplishment for my family and a testimony to my family. I mean, even with that, like, I wasn't perfect. I still did things in my life that wasn't pleasing to God, you know what I mean? Like, I got a motorcycle in which I couldn't afford, which made me, I wanted to be like everyone else. Like, my friends had motorcycle license in college, and some of them even had motorcycles, and I wanted a motorcycle. And I realized after getting one that I actually couldn't afford it. So down the road, it actually hurt me in the long run. And kind of like with the Israelites, they wanted a king, and it ended up hurting them and killing them. So I mean, that's kind of my life on the field. I mean, I see a lot of our kids, they want to be like the rappers they see. They want to be like the sport people they see, like Chad Johnson, T.O., like Leo was talking about. And that's really an image that most of our kids can't attain. Like, there's only 1 in a billion shot you'll be that person, and you lose touch of something that's really important, like going to school and getting your education and becoming that construction worker or something else, because you're chasing a dream that most likely you can't attain, or maybe you can. You go and get it, but if you be more realistic about the situation, and use God for wisdom. I mean, God is our everything, man. And sometimes when we act without Him, I mean, most times when we act without Him, I mean, all the time when we act without Him, it usually ends up not for our benefit at all. It ends up hurting us more than anything. I mean, and you see now we're on the busiest street, one of the busiest streets in Philadelphia, and we're gonna challenge you with the question of what path are you going to choose? Or which way are you going to choose? What leader are you going to follow in your life to help you get to, I mean, ultimately what God wants you to get to, instead of taking the wrong path to get to ultimately what the devil wants you to do. So yeah, we challenge you with that question, man. What path are you going to take? And God bless.